KWT slaying.
What if the truth was never lost, only buried? For centuries, historians, scholars, and even colonial records have confirmed what many tried to silence. The original Israelites were a black people scattered across continents but never erased. Their skin was dark, their customs ancient, and their covenant with Yah eternal. This journey uncovers how the Spanish and Portuguese Jews, described as dark-skinned, Semitic, shared one bloodline. Chased by the Inquisition, many fled to Portugal, then beyond, preserving their heritage across borders. But the story doesn't end in Iberia. Across from West Africa, black Jews built synagogues, kept Torah, and passed down the laws of Moses. The Limba in southern Africa, the Igbo in Nigeria, the Beta Israel in Ethiopia, tribes across the continent boldly declared, "We are the children of Israel." These aren't isolated claims. These are voices rising from the dust, connected by oral histories, Torah traditions, and the unbroken rhythm of their identity. No such legacy exists among European Jews. No centuries of tribal witness, no matching traditions, no trace of ancient covenant keeping. Maps, art, and archaeology tell the same story. The Israelites were scattered, enslaved, and displaced, but never lost. The world always knew who they were. Their presence was visible, their customs alive, their story intact. This book doesn't speculate. It confirms the Israelites were black, bound by blood, culture, and covenant to the Most High. This is not just history, it's restoration. The truth was never destroyed, only buried beneath centuries of deception. Get your copy of They Always Knew We Were Israelites today, available now on Amazon.com.
Salama family, salama. How y'all doing today? Hope you're blessed and highly favored. So before I get started, give me a 1 if I sound okay, a 2 if I don't. Okay, great. All right. So fam, there's a lot of things happening, as you all know, and I'm gonna be covering some of these things. My next show is probably going to be about the seals, Revelation chapter 6. I'll be talking about the seals, and it makes a lot more sense today, right? You know, the veil is being lifted, and once again, the key to the awakening is called an awakening for a reason, right? Not only do we awaken to who we are, but we awaken to the prophecies. Now, it's interesting that we have a lot of things going on, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And so what I'm going to try to do is, I'm going to go through my slides, but I'm going to step out of that and go to videos and come back. So you can see what I see and maybe get that same understanding that I have on what we're dealing with. And also, I want to give a shout out and thanks to all of the Tell Ministries supporters, the patrons, the Cash App givers, everyone who support this ministry. Though few you may be, you're who the Most High has ordained to support this ministry, and I appreciate it, and I love you all for it. So let's get started. We're going to talk about the craftsmen. Now, we sort of referred to this before, but there's always revelation upon revelation as we move forward. So we're going to talk about the craftsmen. Now, I have here the Sahel nations. Now, why do I have the Sahel nations? Because before we knew who we were, there was a whole bunch of ideas of who they are. And personally, even me, I thought that the craftsmen, some Bible versions refer to them as the carpenters. I thought they were going to be people like nations, let's say, like Russia or China or something, right? I thought it was going to be some of these mighty powerful nations. But when you look at the scriptures, no, what it is the Israelites, right? It's the Israelites. And I'm going to show you that was happening, that it all comes full circle, right? It's all of the prophecies coming full circle and some overlapping others. And so when I get into the teachings on the seals, you're going to see where some of these things fit in. It's sort of like, the seals is like the outer layer, but then you got the details within the seals. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what we have. And today the craftsman is more the details, but they're within the seals. And all of these things are happening. And guess what? Be honest with you, nobody but those who listen to this ministry knows about it, right? I mean, that's just my opinion. Some people are going to say, well, but we've been teaching about the four carpenters too. You're not the only one. I always hear that kind of stuff, right? Yeah, but nobody teaches it from my viewpoint. Okay. So let's continue. All right. So the four craftsmen, right? Some versions say the four carpenters. All right. So the reason why I chose craftsmen over carpenters, you'll see as we go along. I mean, even though they sort of have the same meaning, I think it's a little bit more descriptive this way, but let's continue. Zechariah 1:18-21. Then I lifted up mine eyes and saw, and behold, four horns. And I said unto the angel that talked with me, what be these? And he answered me, these are the horns which have scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem. So these are the horns, there's four of them, that scattered us, right, to the four corners. All right. Now, the question is, who are these four horns, right? I believe that the four horns, just my opinion, eat the meat, spit out the bones. I believe the four horns are France, Britain, Spain, and Portugal. Okay, because they were like the main ones involved in our scattering. Okay, so, and Yahuwah showed me four carpenters or craftsmen, right? Then said I, what come these to do? So what does the four craftsmen come to do? What's their purpose, right? And now there's a little flashback to the horns. It says, and he spake saying, these are the horns, okay? These are the horns which have scattered Judah, so that no man did lift up his head. But these, now we're talking about the craftsmen, but these, because they just asked, who are these craftsmen? What are they coming to do? But these are come to fray them or to terrify them. What? To do what? What are they coming to do? To cast out the horns of the Gentiles. So these four horns are being cast out by the four carpenters. Now, the four horns are Gentiles. So by definition, come on now, family, by definition, if these carpenters are coming to fray or terrify the horns, who are the Gentiles, because it's the horns of the Gentiles, but then by definition, the carpenters are Israelites. Come on now. Y'all with me? Give me a one if you're with me. Give me a two if you're not. If the ones who are being kicked out, being frayed, is the horns of the Gentiles, then by definition, the ones who are kicking out the Gentiles have to be Israelites. I'm just saying. So somebody said Muslim Israelite. See, this. Okay, let me deal with that right quick, because I mean it's a valid question, right? It's a valid question. Muslim Israelite. Okay, can I say a Christian Israelite? Because that's what you all were. That's what many of them are. They Christians or Muslim, Islam. Which one? They both false religions. Come on now. Come on now. They both false religions. It don't matter if it's Muslim Israelites. What if it was Christian Israelites? They both still false religions. So, can we say wood and stone, family? Repeat after me, family. Wood and stone. Wood and stone. Still not serving the living Elohim. Now, you know, some people worship him through the name Jesus, which I'm not going to even get into that, because I'm going to let y'all stay where you at till you grow, right? I'm going to let you stay where you at till you grow and understand his name is Yahusha and his father's name is Yahuwah. I'm not going to beat you up. But you're still dealing with wood and stone. So the fact that he's a Muslim doesn't matter, or that the Sahel nations, right? But we're going to get there. So, but these are come to fray them to cast out the horns of the Gentiles, which lifted up their horn, which is their authority over the land of Judah, what? To scatter. All right. So who are we talking about? We're talking about Israelites who are the carpenters. Why? Because the four horns are Gentiles. Gentiles is everybody but Israel. Come on now. Gentiles is everybody but Israel. So therefore, by definition, the four carpenters have to be Israelites. Come on now, family. Give me a one if you agree with me, or two if you don't. Before I move on, by definition, the four carpenters got to be Israelite. All right. So the other thing that we know is that they had authority over the land of Israel, or over the land of Judah, to scatter it, right? These four horns. Who has authority over the land of a people in this world who were scattered? Come on now. What people were scattered to the four corners of the earth as slaves? We've been through all that, right? And it was done by Gentiles. What land do those people live in, or lived in, who were scattered by Gentile nations? Come on, it's the continent of Africa. Come on now. I know some of y'all think Africans are Hamites. All right, I'm not going to even deal with the foolishness. Y'all got to grow up. You got to grow up. And some of y'all be like, oh, this man is a Cushite. This man is a Hamite. This man is a Muslim. And you don't even know what you're talking about. You know why you don't know what you're talking about? Because you haven't done any research. You know why you don't know what you're talking about? Because you got hatred in your heart for your own people, because you believe that America is your homeland. You think we Native American Indians. You think we indigenous people of the Americas. That's why you ain't get it. That's why you ain't gonna never get it. But by definition, the carpenters are Israelites. Come on, let's continue. Because otherwise, we'd have Gentiles dealing with Gentiles, and that's not what we see here. All right, let's continue. So challenge the power structure. One, the horns are nations that scattered Israel. This is clearly stated. The four horns represents Gentile powers who oppressed and scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem. They have dominance over the land. What? They have dominance over the land. What do the four carpenters come to do? To kick them out of the land. Come on now. Who can this be? It's a bit obvious today. Number two, the craftsmen are sent to terrify or overthrow those horns. This part is very crucial. These are forces raised by Yahuwah to challenge the power structure that scattered his people. The word used for fray, Hebrew, is sharad, implies a frightening, trembling impact. These craftsmen are not weak. They confront and throw down. Come on now. They confront and throw down. Can y'all repeat after me, family? Can we all say coup d'etat, boys and girls? Repeat after me, boys and girls. Coup d'etat. All right? I'm just saying. It's all making sense today, I'm telling you. We dealing with the four carpenters today, baby. Oh, yeah, honey. That's my little New Orleans, y'all. So let me slide. That's my New Orleans. All right, so who are the craftsmen? Option one, outside nations used by Yahuwah. Now, we already determined this can't be the case because it says Gentiles, but we're going to deal with it. Okay, this is the traditional interpretation. It parallels how Yahuwah used Persia to overthrow Babylon, or how he uses one Gentile power to judge another, Isaiah 10:5-7, Jeremiah 25. In this case, the craftsmen are outside agents raised to punish the nations that harmed Israel. If so, they may not be Israelites themselves, but instruments of judgment. Now, that's the traditional interpretation. That's the traditional, but we already saw that the horns are Gentiles. That's what the script said. And by definition, if the horns are Gentiles, the carpenters are not told to be other Gentile nations, but so therefore our conclusion rightly can be that the carpenters are Israelites. All right. Option two, returning Israelites or rising Israelite power. If the craftsmen represent those in the land of Judah, and we identify that the land as Africa, right? Because we know that's where the people were scattered to the four corners from. We know that's where the horns came and did the scattering and took over our land. That's our history. Then it's possible these craftsmen are Black Israelite or Israelite. Africans who are beginning to rise up against colonial or foreign control. This would mean the craftsmen are not outsiders, but are the very people who were previously scattered, who's reclaiming authority. This view fits with prophecies of restoration, Obadiah 1:21. And Savior shall come up on Mount Zion to judge the Mount of Esau, and the kingdom shall be Yahuwah's. Isaiah 11:14, they shall fly upon the shoulders of the Philistines, and they shall spoil them of the east together. So I did a teaching back in the day of how Israel is going to be used by the Most High to judge our enemies. Do y'all remember that? And I talked about how Israel is going to be Yah's hammer. And by that hammer, which is the Israelites, shall he destroy the Gentile nations. Come on now. Come on now. Oh, yeah, let's get rid of this old weak egg Christian stuff. You know what I'm saying? Where, oh, turn other cheek. Oh, we all the same. Love, love, kisses, kisses. No. Y'all our enemy because we're in the land of our enemy. I'm just saying, what you want me to say? We're in the land of our enemies. That's what the Bible says. Oh, yeah, you are my battle axe. Come on, Roger. You are my battle axe and weapon of war. Come on. By you, I'm going to do what? Come on, family. By you, I'm going to do what? Now, look, this does not disregard the idea that, let's say, that the four carpenters are going to have other allies. It doesn't disregard that. But the ones who are doing the crafting, what does crafting? Y'all play video games, right? You ever played a character or a game where you had to go in there and you had to craft your items and craft your guns? Give me one if y'all played them games, where you had to craft an item, right? So you wanted a better gun, you had to take all of the stuff that you had, all of the gold, the silver, the quartz and all this stuff, and you'll make your gun, you'll craft a new gun. So you're making something, but guess what? It's something both for defense and offense. You're making something. So the craftsmen are making something. What are they making? We're going to talk about that. So a coup d'etat, these prophecies support the idea that Israelites themselves take part in overthrowing oppressive systems at the end. Who's leading it today, family? Who's leading the coup d'etat? It's not the Gentile nations. Like I say, it does not preclude the four carpenters having allies. But who's leading the craftsmanship? Who's leading the craftsmanship? Is Israelites. Well, Yakoba, I have to disagree with you. They're Hamites. They're Hamites. They're Cushites, Jacob. No, they're Israelites. They're Israelites. And if anybody say anything else, that's just foolishness and shows me you have done zero research. Ibrahim Trail. Some claim that Ibrahim is a Hamite or a Cushite. Can you believe it? Based upon what? What do they base this upon? First of all, it's not widely known what tribe he's from, but I'm going to show you more than likely what tribe that he's from. Based upon what? This is the area that was called Lamlim, which was peopled by Jews, according to the 1749 Duke of Orleans map by Sir de Anville. So this is the area called Lamlim, which was what? Peopled by Jews. But y'all want to say, oh, he's a Hamite. Oh, he's a Cushite. Don't even make sense that Cushites there. Cushites should be over there in the east by Jerusalem, over there by Ethiopia, right? But y'all want to say, oh, they Hamites or oh man, the lack of research, right? The lack of research. Ibrahim is Bambara. The Critical Review 18th century, a review of Portuguese settlements noted that many of the Black Portuguese Jews were sent to Africa and became known communities. These were seen in regions inhabited by the Mandinka, the Soninke, and Bambara people. The distinction was not just cultural, but ethnic and religious. They were recognized as Jews by name and identity. Now, y'all know I did the show. I believe that Jews are the Aways, right? Jews are just the European and the Islamic Arabic transliteration of our names, but I believe, you know, and I showed you the videos. If you don't know, just go look up the video dealing with that. But it was people by Jews. Now, let me move on to a video and we'll come back to the teaching. All right, so let's do this.
Everyone wants to claim Ibrahim Traore. Ibrahim is a Muslim name. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Ibrahim. It's Prophet Abraham.
So first of all, I'm a fan of Sufi alchemy, so I'm certainly not doing this video to dog on his page at all. But I do need to address what seems to be a problematic perspective that he's sharing here. I don't understand what the intent is, so it would be good to hear from him to hear what the purpose was of this video. I'm neither Muslim nor Christian, so I don't have any horse that I'm backing here.
Ibrahim is a Muslim name.
I think everybody was very aware of the fact that Ibrahim Traore is a Muslim, but it's not really a part of the narrative of what he represents to Burkina Faso and what he represents to Africa.
The alliance of Sahel states with Traore, Goita of Mali, and Chiani of Niger, around 82% Muslim. Muslims have to be aware of these brainwashed people, because many of them pushing agendas that are against Traore and the best interest of the Sahelian people.
I also feel like it's a potentially unhelpful and somewhat dangerous narrative to be propagating for the 26% of Burkina Fasans who are actually Christian.
All of a sudden, Ibrahim Traore is black. Really?
Mali, Niger, Chad, Sudan, Nigeria, they're not black nations. They're Muslim. Said no African ever. If you
Said no African ever. I agree with him, right? Now, what you're looking at right here is Negro land, right? Y'all got to go look at my teachings. Y'all got to buy Minister Teu's book. They always knew we were Israelites. You got to buy my book, True Jerusalem. If you want to understand everything that's going on and why we believe what we believe, right? So let's continue. This is what you're seeing right here is Negro land, okay? But let's continue.
If you didn't know, I'm from Nigeria, which is over here, and 9 out of our 15 presidents have been Muslim. In fact, our current president is Muslim. Here's a picture of our sellout Nigerian president shaking hands with President Macron of France in solidarity to Europe and not to Francophone Africa. Do you know what the #1 religion in Nigeria is? Let me give you a clue. It's not Christianity or Ifa divination. Yes, Nigeria itself is actually 55% Muslim, and there's no tidy geographic, ethnic, or tribal lines that can be drawn. In fact, I'm of the Yoruba tribe, and the Yoruba tribe is actually around 60% Muslim as well, in spite of people believing perhaps it's a Christian region. There is no Christian region. I have Muslims in my family.
Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Ibrahim. It's Prophet Abraham. Traore is a Bambara lineage. I'm not 100% sure on Ibrahim's paternal line, but Bambara people are Muslims from the Mali Empire of Songhai.
I have people with Muslim names in my family.
So, you know, Sufi says that Bambara people are Muslims, right, from Songhai. No, you know, a lot of them are Muslim today, but guess what they are? They're Israelites. Like a lot of people in Mali and Niger are Israelites. Why? Because that's Lamland, which is the land of the Yahudim or the Jews or the Airways, right? And we're gonna talk about that a little bit, right? Because here's the thing: it's clear. Because the history is there, right? Look, if you did any research at all, if you read Minister Tayu's book, if you read my book, you would know this, right? I mean, this is history 101.
Family who are practicing Christians, and I have people with traditional Yoruba Nigerian names who are practicing Muslims. So it's far more complex than just taking a certain region or taking a certain surname and saying, ha, this person is Muslim, this person is Christian. I say all that to say that Africa has a very complex relationship with the Abrahamic faiths, and it shouldn't be oversimplified, and we certainly shouldn't be dividing ourselves by which faith we adhere to. I respect the fact that you're passionate.
So, fam, what does the history book pre-1900 say about the religion of the Africans? What's the oldest religion that the Europeans say of the African? Now, I don't agree with the terminology, but it's the modern term for this particular religion. What is the religion that they said was the religion of the Africans, the ancient religion of the Africans? I'm just waiting. It wasn't Islam. It wasn't Christianity. What was it? Yes. Thank you. Judaism. Yes, that's what they said. It was Judaism. All right. Now, I don't believe in that word. I don't believe in that name, Judaism. That's a whole nother teaching and discussion on itself. But we're going to come back to that, right? We're going to come back
about Sufi Islam, but I need to know, what do you think Africa gains from dredging up these old religious divides that only seem to fall into us being divided amongst ourselves? This is Traore's true spiritual predecessor, Thomas Sankara. I know that you're aware of him. He was a Catholic. No one cared, because his religion was irrelevant to the liberation he was bringing to Burkina Faso and to the spark that he was igniting amongst that population, a spark that would once again burn in people like Ibrahim Traore, a spark that France tried to burn out with 40 years of oppression from his killer, President Compaoré, who was removed by Ibrahim Traore because of the revolution that this man begun. People didn't care about what religion he was.
Let's leave the Christian la la land and get down to earth reality.
There is no divide between the Muslim and the Christian troops within President Traore's cabinet, as there was no divide between the Christian and Muslim troops in Thomas Sankara's cabinet. Now, am I suggesting that Ibrahim Traore is not a Muslim, or that he doesn't hold his Islamic faith in high regard? Absolutely not. But what I will fight against is utilizing Islam as a differentiating factor between Africans of the Sahel region, Africans of Guinea region. You even pointed out that Mansa Musa was a Muslim, like we didn't all know that already. It's irrelevant. These people are Africans. Look at this man. He stands here in Ashoke. He looks African. He wears proudly his African garments. And these are garments that will be worn by Muslims, Christians, and people of no faith in that region, because they are Africans first. Or do you believe that Africans should only show solidarity based on ethnicity, jurisdiction, and faith? Because that is not very helpful.
You know, Mansa Musa, that empire. Mansa Musa was also Muslim, by the way. The alliance of Sahel states with Traore, Goita of Mali, and Chiani of Niger, around 82% Muslim.
What exactly is your end goal here? Because Muslims aren't clamoring for recognition, respect, and representation in Africa. They have all of those things. And we as Africans don't need to be frequently reminded about which faith our leaders belong to. In fact, I would say that's one of the things that we quickly need to forget. It's the faith that creates dividing lines. When the great Robert Mugabe rose up and kicked the colonizers out of Zimbabwe, we didn't turn around and call it a Christian uprising. We didn't say, hey, you Muslim Africans, you can't be involved in this. Don't try and take pride in Mugabe now. In fact, we all stood together and said, this is a great movement for Africa.
Kenya says Ibrahim Traore is our son. The same Kenya who licks Western boots and send their troop to Haiti.
To be clear, I understand the need to hold to account sellout African leaders. However, I think it's slightly ridiculous saying all of a sudden now Ibrahim Traore is black, as though anyone has been denying the blackness of Muslims in the Sahel region in Africa. This has never been the case. Feel free to correct me if you feel I've overcorrected you.
All right, so what we do know is that the original belief in religion, right, was that of what they call Judaism. Some say that they practice Yahwism, but you know, I've mentioned before what the true religion was. Right now, I'll come back to that if I don't forget. But you know, you gotta do your research. You gotta start digging in order to understand what's really been happening and what's been going on. Because a lot of the stuff that you think you know, if you look at the history, it's not 100% correct. So let's go back to the slides. All right, so Ibrahim is Bambara. Universal Geography. In Universal Geography by Elise Recluse, the Soninke and Sericole, also spelled Sericole or Sericule, are treated as the same people. They have been compared to the Sericoles, the Jews of West Africa, but unlike them are chiefly wholesale dealers carrying on a large caravan trade between Sierra Leone and Timbuktu and extending their expeditions from the Senegal to the lower Niger. So what do we know? We know that these were seen in regions inhabited by Mandinka, Soninke, and Bambara. So we saw that Ibrahim is Bambara. He's related to the Mandinka and the Soninke, who are Israelite. All right. So the Sericole is the Soninke. In Universal Geography, the Soninke and Sericole, also spelled Sericole and Sericule, are treated what? As the same people. In Universal Geography, it says they have been compared to the Sericoles, the Jews of West Africa. So they are the same people. Ibrahim is a Yahudim. He's an Ezra Alawi. He's an Israelite. He's a Jew. Come on now. It don't matter whether or not he Muslim. If he was Christian, it don't matter. Y'all were Christians. Both of us were caught up in some false religions. 1492, they forced our ancestors coming out of Portugal and Spain to convert to Christianity. When they went into Africa, what? In 1492, they forced them to convert to Islam. Come on now, go read my brother's book. Go read Minister Teu's book. In 1492, they forced us to convert to Christianity. And in 1492, they forced us to convert to Islam. Come on now. Had to be a conspiracy. What's the odds that you would have the same year that they forced the Jews to convert to Christianity and to convert to Islam? Come on now. Next time somebody call Ibrahim a Hamite, y'all know they lying. So Sericole, Soninke, the native name used today, Mandi language, known for founders of Ghana, empire, merchants. We know Ghana was full of Yahudim, Judah, Sericole, and Soninke, the same people. It is the French Arabic form of Soninke, Mandi, same people. Come on now. Why people can't do what I do and do the research? Why they gotta just throw out stuff? Well, he's a Hamite. Why? See, I told y'all, people be making stuff up. They throw stuff on the wall and see if it sticks, right? Mali ethnic group. Ibrahim Traore, the interim president of Burkina Faso, was born in 1988 in Bandoki, located in the Mahoun province of western Burkina Faso. While specific details about his ethnic background have not been publicly confirmed, his surname, Traore, is of what? Mandi origin and is commonly associated with the Bambara, Dayula, and what? Sonike people. The Sonike or the Saracoles, and what? Saracoles were called Jews, all right? So the Bambara in particular are a significant ethnic group in Mali and have a presence in neighboring countries, including Burkina Faso. He's family. Y'all remember this? Godby's map, right? They lived in Lamlim, which is out here in Central Africa, which is where Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso and them is, which was what? People by Jews. The Saracoles were called Jews. All of Africa had Jews. All of West Africa had Jews. But what they say Ibrahim Traore Hamite. He's a Yahudim. I'm like, come on, it's not that hard. And the evidence out there, the evidence been out there. We've been showing you that. We've been putting the evidence out there. A lot of people playing this I hate Africa politics, right? Because why? They tied to this Native American Indian foolishness, right? They tied to this I'm a Native American, I'm indigenous, I'm Mexican, the 12 tribes chart. That's why they do it, because they want to perpetuate the lie of the 12 tribes chart. But let's continue. We're gonna go on and we're gonna look at some more stuff. All right.
Military leader have called for a mass rally in support of the junta after the government said it had foiled an attempted coup and accused America and France of influencing the country's politics. Since Traore came to power, the military government has cracked down on dissent, kidnappings, and arbitrary arrests of both civilian critics and army personnel accused of plotting coups, which have increased. Here is our cover report. Since assuming leadership of Burkina Faso in September 2022, Captain Ibrahim Traore has spearheaded a bold transformation, breaking away from the entrenched foreign influence and steering the country towards self-reliance. His administration has challenged traditional power dynamics, driven economic reforms, and ignited renewed sense of sovereignty. But on April 3rd this year, while delivering a testimony on the U.S. Africa Command posture, U.S. Marine Corps General Michael Langley had a unique perspective on the leadership in Burkina Faso and Sudan. Listen to this interaction between Langley and Senator Wicker.
The ruling elite of a country is receiving gratuities on the side that in order to the benefit of the strongman leader.
I see this, and I don't mind calling them out, but Captain Traore and Burkina Faso, as they know that both, whether it's their gold reserves, that is all those proceeds are just in exchange to protect the junta regime.
That statement has stoked outrage across the continent.
France and the United States government needs to back off from any attempt to remove Captain Traore from office. Forget about your plan. He's our own. He's doing exactly what the people of Burkina Faso and many other African countries wish their leaders were doing for them.
Traore's decision to expel French forces and reassert control over the country's natural resources has resonated across Africa.
Emmanuel Macron insulted all Africans in his remarks. There was one part that caught my attention, where he spoke of ingratitude, and that ingratitude is a disease that cannot be transmitted to humans. He is a human. Our ingratitude is not transmissible to him. This is how this gentleman sees Africa, sees Africans. We are not human in his eyes.
So what's happening here is the rise of the four carpenters. Now, some of you are going to say, well, I only see three. I only see Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger or nigger. Right? Now, what you got to understand, the fourth one is still coming. Now, I think I know who the fourth one may be. I think whoever joins AES will be the fourth carpenter. Right. But here's the thing. There's a movement afoot on the continent. Right. Don't get it twisted. This is revolution. Right. And we all know it. We all know if we don't win this battle, it is over. If we don't win this battle, we will forever be slaves to the Gentiles. We will forever be under the foot of the Western powers. But the Most High is involved. This is why our people have awakened. This is why we see our people protesting and standing for Ibrahim. He's the figure. He's the figure that the Most High is using to galvanize his people, to wake up the continent and the diaspora, because I told you we are in the midst of warfare. This is a global war. This is a global war against the dragon. This is a global war against our enslavers. This is a global war, and our people foolish to want to go ahead and act like nothing's happening and act like we friends. No, we're not friends. I told y'all see what's happening in the United States. They don't want us here. But guess what? If they don't want us here and they take over the continent, there's no place for us to go. We're done. Stick a fork in it. And when they decide to do what they're going to do and delete us, guess what? Ain't nobody to resist them. But guess what? The Most High is in control. This is prophecy coming to pass. Now, what we see here is Ibrahim, Burkina Faso, he's the leader. And this is why they hate him so much. Why? Because he's charismatic, right? He's infectious. Everyone says, this is not a coup d'etat. It's not a junta. This is revolution. That's what it is. It's global. Don't get it twisted. It's us against them. Don't get it twisted. The government ain't going to like this. They're not going to like it. But that's a fact. That's what's going on. It's us against them.
Rumors are currently swirling online about a possible coup d'etat underway in Ivory Coast. Various unconfirmed reports suggest that elements of the Ivorian military may be attempting to wrest power from President Alassane Ouattara. While details remain sketchy, the alleged motivation behind this move is believed to be the president's controversial agreement with the United States to establish a military base near the border with Burkina Faso and Mali.
I don't know how this is true, but it is being rumored that there is a coup in Ivory Coast. And at the moment, we actually do not know anything. We are just hearing there is a lot of information coming out that there was an internal coup in Ivory Coast and there is no internet. The internet has been switched off, and it is alleged that it was an internal coup by the military who are now taking over the government. So we actually do not know how true this information is, but we are hoping that it is a true information that now Alassane Ouattara, a person who has been a threat to Ibrahim Traore, is being ousted out of Ivory Coast, and the African nations are now rising. So at the moment, we actually do not have a lot of information. I've heard this from South Africans. I've heard this from the people from Senegal. I've heard from so many people who are now posting and coming out. But now the problem is Ivory Coast doesn't have internet as we are talking now. But as the news come in, I'll keep you updated. But we are hoping that this is true because, you know, Alassane Ouattara has been a threat to Ibrahim Traore, trying to take him down.
Why would any...
So it's still rumor at this point, but it's very important of what's happening, right? That Ivory Coast, and I'm hoping it's happening. I hope it's true. because that particular raccoon, who's the president of Ivory Coast, you know, he tried to take out Ibrahim, and you know they tried to invade with their little terrorist attacks, blaming it on Al Qaeda and all that foolishness, when it's really the West and Ivory Coast president. And so apparently, if this is the case, right, and I'm gonna show you the video of the little ambush that happened to these terrorists who was trying to come in and take over while Ibrahim was in Russia. All right, so these particular things are happening, and I love it personally. I mean, if the people of Ivory Coast, if this is happening, it is a revolution, and they are successful, this is awesome, right? This is very, very awesome and very interesting on the prophetic scene, right? That's why the average person is not going to get it. Gentiles definitely not going to understand what's happening, because everything to the Gentiles is the Middle East, right? Everything to the Gentiles is the Levant. Everything to the Gentiles is them folks in the Middle East, right? And so prophecy is happening every day, right? And like I said, I can't tell you when we're leaving, but based upon how prophecies are coming to pass, I don't see how far it is. But I'm just saying, I really don't know, but it's interesting. All right, so let's look at this.
Declared leader of Burkina Faso. He overthrew the president, Paul-Henri Damiba, alongside a group of soldiers.
In a stunning show of military precision and iron-fisted leadership, Burkina Faso's captain Ibrahim Traoré has once again made global headlines, this time for orchestrating a deadly ambush that wiped out over 1,000 terrorists in just one coordinated strike. This isn't fiction. This is real-time warfare in West Africa, where insurgents, extremists, and foreign-backed militias have plagued the region for years. But now, the tables have turned. Under the command of Traoré, a 36-year-old revolutionary leader who seized power to defend his nation, Burkina Faso's military has unleashed a wave of counter-terrorism operations like nothing the Sahel has seen before. Backed by cutting-edge intelligence and a fierce nationalistic spirit, Traoré's forces executed a strategic ambush that didn't just neutralize a threat, it sent a global message. Burkina Faso will no longer be a playground for terrorists. In this deep dive, we break down exactly how this operation unfolded, the planning, the terrain, the intel, and the firepower. Who were these 1,000 terrorists? What were their goals? And how did one of Africa's youngest leaders deliver such a crushing blow without Western backup? This is more than a battlefield story. It's a symbol of rising African sovereignty, military transformation, and the fight for stability in a region on the brink. Get ready, because what you're about to hear might just change how you view modern warfare and the man they now call the Lion of Ouagadougou. A nation under siege, a captain with fire. In the golden dust plains of the Sahel, Burkina Faso had become a war drum that refused to be silenced. Blood had soaked too many village paths, mothers had cried too many nights, and farmers had abandoned fields that once sang with millet and sorghum. Yet, in the middle of the chaos, a young captain, Ibrahim Traoré, rose not as a politician, but as a fighter carved from the same stone as Sankara, bold and unforgiving. When his soldiers struck a blow that buried 1,000 terrorists in one sweeping ambush, it wasn't just military strategy. It was the roar of a people reclaiming their land. Burkina Faso had been reeling for years under the weight of insurgent groups, Al-Qaeda-affiliated cells, Islamic State militants, and bandit militias with no god but violence. These groups had not just attacked checkpoints or looted arms. They had killed schoolteachers, burned market stalls, kidnapped girls, and desecrated mosques. They had tried to make fear the national anthem, but Traoré's ambush shattered that song into silence. Operation Tempête de Feu, Firestorm, the ambush that roared. It was not just another operation. It was the culmination of months of tactical planning, local intelligence, drone surveillance, and ground coordination. The military had mapped the terrorist movements like a griot memorizing an epic. For weeks, they watched a major terror convoy snake through the northern corridors of the country. The militants had grown bold, believing the government was weak and the army poorly equipped. They underestimated the new order. Traoré's elite strike units, drawn from the Rapid Intervention Battalion, BIR, and the Cobra Commando Forces, coordinated with volunteer fighters from the VDP, Volontaires pour la Défense de la Patrie, civilians trained and armed to defend their own lands. It was a brotherhood forged in fire, a fusion of army discipline and village heart. On that fateful morning, dawn broke with an eerie silence. No birdsong, no village chatter, only the tense breath of the forest. Then, as a convoy of over 1,000 terrorists advanced through the Arbinda-Tinakov corridor, the trap snapped shut like a lion's jaw. From above, helicopters unleashed a storm of missiles. On the ground, armored units sealed off escape routes, while snipers took positions along the cliffs. Local VDPs, many wielding only AKs and machetes, moved through the brush like ghosts, striking with precision. The fighting raged for 6 relentless hours. The earth trembled with the roar of battle. And when the smoke cleared, the scale of the victory was undeniable. Over 1,000 enemy combatants lay dead. Dozens more fled, wounded and broken. It was not.
So these terrorists are the ones that fled back over there to Cote d'Ivoire or the Ivory Coast, right? And so this particular president in the Ivory Coast that is potentially going under a coup d'etat is going to well, the rumor is that the president of Ivory Coast is deleted. That's the rumor. I don't know if it's true. But something's happening. And this is part of, in my opinion, is the prophecy dealing with Zechariah chapter 1. All right. So let's look at this as well, because remember, and I'm about to get back to my teaching so you could see why I believe that Ibrahim, Mali, Niger, and whoever the fourth nation is the 4 carpenters. And I'm going to show you why. But let's go back.
My name is Melody Mfolo, and it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you to the latest edition of the African Diaspora News channel, where we unravel the stories that shape our world and our communities. Now, let me say it loud and clear, right? Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger just changed the game. Now, these 3 proud Sahel nations, which are countries the West once dismissed and tried to destabilize and actually tried to divide, have done something quite historic. They have launched the Confederal Bank for Investment and Development with an initial capital of 5 billion CFA francs, and that's over $820 million. No handouts, no IMF strings, no World Bank puppetry. This is Africa investing in Africa. And I tell you now, as an African, this is what I have been waiting for, because for too long we've used foreign currencies to buy our own future. We've begged for loans with interest rates written in Paris and Washington, and we've actually let thieves, yes, I said that, European thieves, to rob us blind, then lecture us about development. But today we plant a flag, which is a flag of resistance and a flag of economic independence and a flag of brotherhood. And Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, real brothers at that, are showing us what African leadership looks like, and not just in words, but in action. And they're building the financial spine of a new Africa. And this, my people, is just the beginning. You see, this bank is more than just a bank for me. I think it's a message that we don't need to beg anymore, that we can build our own roads, fund our agriculture, support our youth, and defend our borders on our own terms. I believe it's a direct rejection of the CFA francs colonial chokehold, and it's a slap in the face to those who actually think that Africa must crawl to be fed. And to
So here's the deal. Ibrahim has to be protected, right, at all cost. And he's a very smart brother. And I'm sure he understands that they will not stop coming after him, right? They're not going to stop. They're literally snakes. They're dragons. They're evil, right? And so understand that military building up the military, building up the economy, all have to be in tandem. But you definitely got to put a lot of money towards the military because they're going to keep coming. Right? Why? For the gold, for the uranium, for all of these resources. They're not going to let that go. Why do you think the first scramble for Africa happened? Why do you think the first scramble for Africa happened, family? They're not going to stop pursuing this man. Now, one thing you can see that, so far it's been like what, over 21 assassination attempts against this brother. Understand that the Most High has been looking out for him because he would not still be here after 21 assassination attempts. Now, Ibrahim is very shrewd, very smart, right? Which is why he wear those gloves, right? He don't want to get touched with poison. But there's always one of us trying to get to him, right? And there's always a traitor in the midst, right? There's always a raccoon nipping at your heels. But the difference today is that what we see happening is that not only does his own people want to protect him, the diaspora wants to protect him. Now, I've not seen this type of thing before, right? That the diaspora wants to protect him as well. Did I close that by accident? I think I did. But anyway, yeah, the diaspora wants to protect Ibrahim as well. And there's a lot of people, who's willing to put their lives online. Why? Because they know that if he does not succeed, it's over for us, right? It is over for us. Okay. So, okay, there it is. All right. So let me share this and we're going to continue on. All right. So we know all of this is populated by Jews. And as someone has said before, let me go back here. Right here, you see Yahwism, right? And, in my book and Mr. Taylor's book, we discuss about how the original religion of the Africans was Judaism, but it wasn't. It wasn't Judaism, but that's what they call it. That's what the Arabs and that's what the Europeans call it, Judaism, and that's what it's known as today. I'm gonna talk about it. I talked about it before, but hey, the uneducated, the unlearned, those who haven't done the research, they're gonna say some kind of stuff. But I'll come back to that. All right. So let's continue. So dual fulfillment. I think both ideas can happen prophetically, right? What idea? The idea that what we're dealing with here is one, the four carpenters, two, their allies, right? So their allies is Russia, their allies is North Korea, their allies is China. So what's going to happen, in my opinion, is that this is going to lead to an all-out world war. And it has always been the task of the West to create this war because they had to get Russia out of the way first. They had to destroy Russia first, right? Which is why they had the Ukraine war, because if they didn't move Russia out of the way first, then Russia could always help Africa. Russia could always support them by giving them military equipment, right? And weapons. And so now we see that you got the BRICS aligned nations and stuff, which they want a multipolar world, whereas the West want a unipolar world, but everything is changing, right? But anyway, let's continue. So I think both ideas can fit prophetically. Scripture often shows dual fulfillment. Historically, outside nations have been used to punish other nations. So that's like Russia and China and North Korea getting involved in this thing. But in the context of end time restoration, okay, that's what we're talking about here, right? The carpenters. In the context of end time restoration, the idea that the craftsmen or the Israelite or the Israelites, Africans rising in power and reclaiming land makes sense, especially if the land of Judah is understood to be in sub-Saharan Africa. So this is consistent with prophetic patterns of Yahuwah using his own people in the final acts of judgment and restoration, right? So as I stated, they still have their allies, but it is galvanized and led by the 4 carpenters, which are Israelites. Okay. So appointed. So while the craftsmen could be outside nations, there's strong support for the position that they are Israelite if we are living in the time of the regathering and if the land is indeed in Africa, which it is, right? So, I believe that. In this case, the craftsmen are the Israelite or Israelites appointed by Yahuwah to dismantle the oppressive powers and reclaim their inheritance. So like I told you in the beginning, right, that the horns are the Gentiles. And by definition, if the horns are the Gentiles and it didn't say that the craftsmen are Gentiles, then by definition, the craftsmen have to be Israelites because Gentiles are non-Israelites. Okay. So here I'm talking about the fact that also the fact that it is the land that they have taken over, right, that they scattered us from, right, to oppress us and to take our land and have authority over our land. And the 4 carpenters or the 4 craftsmen is coming to push them out of the land. That has to be Africa. All right. So why are they called craftsmen? The word used in Zechariah 1:20 for craftsmen or carpenters is the Hebrew is sharash, which means an artisan, engraver, smith, or skilled worker, someone who builds, fashions, or reshapes something with precision and strength. Now, what was Ibrahim doing? He created what? A bank, right? He's created a bank. He's created hospitals. He's built up the military, right? He is a craftsman, but also what does he do? He is scaring the horns, right? He pushed out the French, right? Niger pushed out the French and the Americans. Now, this is becoming to the point where it's infectious. Right, it's becoming infectious on the continent, which is what they were scared of, which is why they wanted to handle him quickly. But because they couldn't handle him quickly, people are seeing, hey, he built roads, he's built refineries, he's built tomato plants, he's built a hospital, he did all of this in 2 years. When they were getting $1 billion to take care of all of the people of Burkina Faso, now they're getting $18 billion because they kicked the French out. Come on now. He is a craftsman. But in the context of Zechariah chapter 1, he's coming to throw out the horns who scattered Israel. So why this specific term? They are builders, not just warriors. What? Let me repeat that. They are builders and not just warriors. So unlike the horns, which symbolize brute power, violence, and scattering, craftsmen represent skillful reconstruction and deliberate action. Yahuwah seems to be making a point here. The solution to oppression is not just a stronger army, but the raising up of individuals or groups with the wisdom, insight, and ability to what? Dismantle and reshape structures. They are craftsmen. To dismantle, so they're dismantling the old structure. They're kicking out the French. They're kicking out the West. They're dismantling the old structure, getting rid of the CFA franc, creating their own money, right? And reshaping the whole foundation and structure. Now, this is very interesting, because I'm not doing a teaching so much on this, but I'm going to refer to Ezekiel chapter 37. Okay. So we all know about the bones, gathering the bones, and we know about the sinews forming, and we know about the flesh added, right? We know about this in Ezekiel 37. And the bones they have already begun. They started making noise when we woke up, right? So the bones scattered Israelites, right? We were scattered into all nations, right? Because the Bible says this is the whole house of Israel. The bones are being brought together as people across Africa and the diaspora awaken to their true identity. Many are reconnecting with heritage, history, and scripture. Now the sinews, because now, we went from bones, right? Which Israel was dead. We were scattered amongst the nations as slaves, right? Now the sinews are forming, right? What is the sinews? Well, the sinews represents infrastructure and unity. We've seen cooperation growing between some African nations, militarily, economically, and politically. So think of AES, right? The AES alliance, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, and the trend towards regional self-determination. So what we have here is 3 of the 4 carpenters. I'm waiting for the 4th. I think I know who the 4th could be, but I mean, who knows? But there's going to be a 4th. All right. So let me tell you where I think the current stage is. The current stage of the Ezekiel 37 dry bones, right? The imagery, the metaphors, right? This seems to be that we're at the stage of the flesh being added. Okay, so the flesh is being added. Why? Because Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, they're taking control of their gold and uranium. Botswana and Namibia launching a $3 billion oil refinery project. Senegal expelling French troops and reclaiming their national resources. Ghana pushing to process its own lithium and strengthen its currency. All of these point to a growing internal strength. That's what the flesh is, right? The flesh is not the skin. The flesh is the muscle. It's the ligaments that does the heavy lifting, right? So all of these point to a growing internal strength, economies, industry, institutions beginning to function independently. So that's the muscle. The body is gaining power. That's what it is when it says flesh, though it is not yet fully visible or alive. So we see the formation of this new people, this new entity, this revived entity called Israel or the Israelite. So we are in the current stage of flesh being added. And so then we have the 4th stage, which is going to be restoration of Israel. So the restoration of Israel becomes undeniable and visible. That's what the skin is. You can see it. So not just scattered individuals or rising governments, but a clearly identifiable people and nation recognizes Israel. So this could involve a public large-scale return or migration, unified political representation, a cultural and spiritual revival that others can see and acknowledge. In other words, the diaspora getting involved in Africa, the diaspora going back home, right? The wilderness experience, and then what we call a second Exodus. That's the skin, where you're going to see that Israel is back. And then the 5th stage is the breath, the final stage. So this is when Yahuwah breathes his spirit into the people. It's not just political or economic revival, but a divine awakening. The people live according to the covenant again, and Yahuwah is glorified through them. This is when Ezra Alawi becomes a spiritual army, not just a physical nation. So when we get to the point we're back in the land, when we get to the point where they see us and the skin is on us, there's other things that are going to happen. There's other things. What's going to happen when we go back, y'all? What's going to happen once we have the breath of life in us and we arise as a nation, not just where they could see the skin, but what happens when they see the spirit? We're going to heal the sick. We're going to raise the dead. We're going to cast out devils. Why? Because that's part of the blessings of the covenant, where as we are given a new heart and the laws are written in our heart, then the curses are fully removed and the blessings are applied, and we walk in faith and we heal the sick, we raise the dead, we cast out devils, we tell the sun to stop, we tell the rain to dry up. If our enemy's trying to catch us, it's all going to change. And this is what's happening, right? We see this formation of Israel. Shall a nation be born in the day? Well, guess what? That nation is being resurrected. This is what you're seeing. And this is the role of the 4 carpenters, right? To push out those who have scattered us, who enslaved us. Oh, yes, by our own hand. And the Most High says he's going to destroy these nations by our hand. Come on now, let's get past the Christian doctrine. Oh, ain't no more Jew, Greek. We all the same. The Most High said, I'm going to make them bow at your feet and know that I have loved thee. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 5 said they're going to be shocked of how this salvation came to us. Did we not know them by byword? I'm paraphrasing. They were without hope. We didn't, we considered their lives meaningless, according to Wisdom of Solomon 5. This is where we're at. We are on the prophetic timeline of our restoration. We are on the part where we are about to put on the skin. They're going to see that we are the children that Yahuwah had blessed. We are his seed. We are the chosen. They're about to find out. Right now we're hidden. They don't see it. They see little things, right? They hear us shaking, right? They heard us shaking. They heard us saying, we're the people, we're the people, we're the people. They're like, no, you're not, no, you're not, no, you're not. I said, we could prove it. We can prove it. We don't care because they no more Jew Greek. But now that we're awakened, guess what? Now, guess what? They're starting to see stuff. What's going on over here in Africa? They're trying to take the resources back. If they take the resources back, France is going to be poor. France is going to have to come to Africa for jobs. U.S. going to be poor. The U.S. going to have to come to Africa for a job. That's why I tell you, they're not going to let it slide. This is a life or death situation. Don't get it twisted. You need to realize where you at. And everybody ain't going to make it. Especially if you ain't living righteous, especially if you lying, especially if you telling half truths, you probably ain't going to make it. This is warfare. And y'all just don't see it, many of y'all. So how Yahuwah works, this matches how Yahuwah works through wise strategy, not just force. Think of Bezalel and Oholiab, craftsmen filled with the Spirit, what? To build the tabernacle, Exodus 31. Think of Yahushua the Messiah, raised as a tekton, Greek for craftsman, often translated carpenter, not a brute force revolutionary, but what? A wise builder of people and systems. So that's what we're seeing right now, right? We're seeing a wise building of people and systems. And it's all happening in the area that was called Lamlim, which was what? People by Jews. Called Negro land. Reconstruction. They reconstruct what the horns destroyed. The horns scattered Israel and tore down the nation. The craftsmen represent restoration. So that may include reclaiming land and identity, rebuilding righteous leadership. Is that not what we're trying to do out there on the continent? Restoring Torah and covenant understanding, removing false governments or systems. The craftsmen are the answer to destruction. They are constructive agents. Let me repeat after that. Repeat that again. The craftsmen are the answer to destruction. That's what's been happening. They've been destroying our people, destroying our land, taking our resources, but the craftsman has come back to take our resources back. They are the answer to destruction. They are constructive agents. They are here to build the nation. Come on now, y'all. Come on, y'all got to get with me. They are here to build the nation. Does it not look like bone to bone, sinews to sinews, flesh to flesh, skin, and then breath of life? The design, they have a divine assignment. Craftsmen don't act randomly. They follow a design, a blueprint. In the prophetic sense, these may be individuals or movements Yahuwah raises up with precision and purpose, what? To tear down oppressive systems and build something holy in its place. So what happens, you got a broken down house and, you say, well, I can't fix this house up. Let's tear it down. They're tearing down the old structure and building something new in its place, which is the resurrection of a nation. They don't see it yet. They don't get it. I'm telling y'all, that's what's happening. It is the resurrection of our nation. This is the resurrection of Ezra Alawi. So this ties to Jeremiah 1:10. See, today I appoint you over the nations and kingdoms, to uproot and tear down, to destroy and overthrow, to build and to plant. This is what the carpenters are doing. See, today I appoint you over the nations. Who? Israelites. I appoint you over the nations and the kingdoms. What? To uproot, tear down, tear these nations down, to destroy and overthrow, to build and to plant. And that's just what's happening. What is Ibrahim doing? Tearing down the structures of colonialism, uprooting their system of influence and controls and their military, building hospitals, building roads, planting tomatoes and building farms. See, today I have appointed you over the nations and kingdom to uproot, tear down, to destroy and overthrow, to build and to plant. So Yahuwah often uses both destruction and rebuilding as a paired process. Rebuilding, Yahuwah calls them craftsmen because they aren't just destroying, they're rebuilding, shaping, and restoring. This sets them apart from the horns who scatter through chaos and violence. The craftsmen are agents of what? Divine order. What? Precision, restoration, and most likely Israelite who were chosen servants raised up in the last days to break down oppressive powers and reestablish Yahuwah's rule. The word suggests intelligence, skill, and purpose, not just brute strength. So we see all of this happening on the continent. And when we look at what's happening, it's infectious, right? Remember, I told you it's infectious, right? It's infectious. Let's look at this right quick.
This decision follows a growing trend across the Sahel and West African nations, where former French colonies are reclaiming full control of their military and political affairs. Public sentiment has increasingly turned against France's presence, with many African citizens calling for true sovereignty and an end to neo-colonial influence. Just like Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger before it, Senegal is now asserting its independence, its dignity, and its future. The big question now is, which country will be next? And how will France respond to this wave of rejection from a continent that's rewriting its story? Stay tuned. Africa's...
So Faye could be the next carpenter, maybe. I still don't really trust Faye. He moves a little too smooth and quiet for me. He's not really opposing the French like that, even though he kicked them out of the country. I like that. But he's a politician too, right? But I'm not sure about him. I'll keep my left eye open, right? I'll keep my left eye open with Faye. I mean, it's possible. He is a young guy. He is a young guy, but I don't know. We're gonna see. You know, maybe he's one of the carpenters, maybe not, right? Now, the other thing I like is that, like I said, right, it's infectious. It's infectious. The whole continent is changing, right? Don't tell me this not prophetic.
He slammed the doors on Africans. For years, the United States humiliated African citizens with endless visa delays, denials, and disrespect, all while enjoying VIP access to the continent with no visa required. Americans could fly into African countries like they owned the skies. No questions, no queues, no shame. But that era is ending, and Namibia just made it official. Under President Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, the message is clear. If Africans need a visa to enter America, then Americans need a visa to enter Africa. No exceptions, no hypocrisy. However, Trump hasn't taken the new policy seriously until now. This week, over 500 American nationals were ordered to leave Namibia immediately for violating the country's new visa regulations. They didn't apply. They didn't respect the law. And Namibia isn't here to babysit U.S. tourists. But here's the question. What exactly did these Americans do wrong? What violations pushed Namibia to take this unprecedented step? And will Namibia deport them if they did not leave on their will? Let's find out.
All right, so y'all could go watch the rest of that. So basically, you know, Namibia has kicked out them Americans, right? Because it's tit for tat right now. It's tit for tat. Trump kick out their people. They're like, okay, y'all need visas too. They kick out the Americans, right? It's tit for tat. Now, here's the deal. They need us more than we need them. They need Africa's gold, bauxite, uranium, oil, cocoa, you name it. We got it all. We don't need them. They need us, which is why I'm trying to get y'all to understand this will explode into a world war. They're not going to let Ibrahim control those resources. They're not going to let Namibia control those resources. They're not going to let Senegal kick out the French and control their resources. They're not going to let them take over the Ivory Coast and not fight, right? They're not going to let China and Russia come in there and get the great contracts. Oh, no. Why? Because they think they own Africa and they think they own us. But this is the time and the season of deliverance. This is the time of the carpenters to kick out the horns. They don't understand that prophecies is happening right before their face. They don't understand that what's happening today is that the Most High is shining his face on us again. Conclusion. The legacy of the Mandingans, descendants of the once powerful Mali Empire, which was full of Israelites as well, y'all got to read the book. They always knew we were Israelites, continues to shape the cultural and historical fabric of West Africa. Today, their influence is reflected in the rising strength of nations like Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, where leaders such as Captain Ibrahim Traore are reclaiming sovereignty and restoring order after centuries of foreign control. These developments mirror the prophetic vision in Zechariah 1, where 4 craftsmen are raised up to terrify and overthrow the horns that scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem. The cultural resilience, ancestral memory, and resistance seen in the Mandingan heritage now manifests through the bold leadership and unity among these nations. As they challenge neo-colonial systems and revive the dignity of their people, we see that this is a part of a prophetic awakening tied to the restoration of the true land and people of Israel in Africa. So, y'all remember in the beginning, family, when we all got the heat? Ain't no 400-year prophecy. That don't exist. But yet all hell broke loose after 2019. Negroes around the world started waking up to being Israelites. First in Americas, Europe, then to the islands, and Africa is waking up. Everybody's waking up, and now all of a sudden they want their land back. Ibrahim, them like, we're not dealing with these colonizers anymore. We're not dealing with these enslavers anymore. He says, if I have to die, then I die. And I think that's where we all have to be. It's sort of like it's either you or me. It's either us or them. That's where we're at. They're not going to let you go. When has the slave master ever decided to let you go? Right? Our ancestors, when they were enslaved, fought these people. Why? Because they're evil. They're wicked. Let's get it straight. Now, I'm not talking about every individual person. I'm talking about a nation. They're wicked. But you got individuals within that nation who's not wicked. But it's sort of like what Muhammad Ali said, if I got 10,000 snakes coming at me and they want to kill me, and there's 1,000 snakes who want to protect me, and I can't tell the difference between the snakes, it's better for me to leave them all alone. We are literally at war with our oppressor. And if you can't see that, I feel sorry for you. And I know some of y'all, you're like, well, people are people and we need to unite. Well, here's the deal. If you try to unite with them, they're going to always look out for themselves first. If you unite with them, they're going to say, you know what? I like being on top. I like white supremacy. I like privileged status. Right? So if, let's say, the current president is the issue that everybody disagrees on, and we all unite on that, soon as they get back in power, we back where we were. And then you have those who said, you know what, let's build Goshen here and let's build our own towns and, let's separate. That's impossible. Why? Because we're in the land of our enemy. We don't make the laws. We don't control the military. There's nothing we can do. You ain't going to never build no city by yourself that you can run and manage by yourself. Why? Because they'll burn it down just like they've always done. Let's get it right. Let's use some logic. How many times they got to burn down Black Wall Street and Rosewood and everything, right? For y'all to wake up and say, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't be trying to ally with these people. Why? Because they want to stay on top. That's human nature. Now, hey, we're a little different as a people because we're like fair. We're like, hey, we only got one loaf of bread. Let's cut the bread in half. You take half and I take half, right? That's us, right? That's us. Come on now, y'all. Yes or no, family? Is that not us? Here's the loaf of bread, cut it in half. I'll take half, you take half. We good. We're sharing. That's not them. That's not them. They're like, I got half and I want your half. That's how it is. That's how it's always been. That's history. Look, if the shoe fit, wear it. If the shoe don't fit, don't wear it. You see what I'm saying? I know some of y'all good, but I can't tell which ones are good. I can't tell which ones are good. I know the nation is wicked. So what we got to understand is that this is a time of change. And guess what? What you see this particular president doing today, getting rid of DEI, getting rid of CRT, removing our history, removing us from employment positions, right? Changing the laws so we won't benefit from SNAP benefits, changing the laws so we can't have, they really want to get rid of Social Security and everything, right? So when they're doing all of that, they are telling you that we're coming for you and we're tearing down the system that allows you to survive here. So what does that mean? What does that mean? You gonna build something here? Without government help, it's not going to happen. You don't control the means of production. You don't control the money supply. You don't control the armies. You don't control nothing. How are you going to stay here? Somebody tell me that. See, people say, well, Jacob be teaching flea doctrine. I'm just saying, how you, on a logical viewpoint, how are you going to survive here? Well, I'm waiting on the Most High. That's fine. I'm waiting on the Most High too. But I'm planning to leave. See, that's the difference between me and you. I'm planning to leave. I'm making plans to leave. Yes, I'm waiting on the Most High, but I'm making plans to leave. Why? Because I know I can't stay here. You're not going to change their hearts. They're not going to wake up one day and say, you're humans. They're not going to wake up one day and say, let's share the resources. They're not going to wake up one day and say, let you create your own Fortune 500 company. They're not going to do that. It's not happening. Because if it was going to happen, guess what? It would have happened already. It's not going to happen. Why? Because there's policies all the way back to Rome, all the way back to the Inquisition, that we are supposed to be what? Perpetual slaves. That's slaves forever. And that's why people who tell you, well, we're going to just build a Goshen. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. You still ain't learned your lesson, but okay, cool. Good luck with that. Can we say punch bowl? Can we say punch bowl? So, fam, if y'all want to support us, you can. And like I said in the beginning, thank you all who do support us. I really appreciate it, and I love y'all for it. And, if you want to support us, you can. You could go to Tail Ministries, go to the donations tab. There's other options to give. You could get Cash App, $ TLTW7101. If you like what this ministry does, you can also like, share, and subscribe. You can also go ahead and buy Minister Teo's book. They always knew we was Israelites. You can go ahead and buy my book, True Jerusalem, Lost Kingdoms of the Israelites. You want to learn something, read those books. See, this is how you can recognize prophecies. Why? You can see the prophecies that have been fulfilled, and you can see the prophecies that are being fulfilled when you're looking at Torah and looking at what the scriptures teach. So the next time, I don't know, probably sometime next week, I'm going to be teaching on the seals. And, I'm going to show y'all where I think we are in terms of the seal judgments and when they were fulfilled and when some of them were fulfilled and the ones that are yet to be fulfilled and the gap stage where I think we're at. And so we're going to talk about the seal judgments. It's all making sense. At least to me, it does. I know some people, you could talk to them till you're blue in the face and dump a whole bunch of evidence on the counter and they still ain't going to see it. No more you agree. It's sort of funny. It's like I said in the Facebook group. I say, how come when people be challenging you and you tell them, hey, present your facts, present your evidence. Y'all ever notice they go silent? Give me a 1 if you notice they go silent. Give me a 2 if you don't. I'm just saying, every time you tell people prove your case, they go silent. Now, you got a few of them that don't go silent, but what they do is they take a whole bunch of scripture and drop it on your desk. No context, right? They take a whole bunch of scriptures, drop it on your desk. I'm like, I'm not going to read all that. There's no context. And then you're going to give me your opinion of it without doing a teaching on it, right? I'm just saying. That's just how it is, fam. So, fam, hope y'all enjoyed this. Go ahead, like, share, and subscribe, and support this ministry. We appreciate it. And, sometime next week, I'll be doing a teaching on the seal judgments, right? So that should be interesting because nobody has taught what I taught on this, right? Like with everything else, most people don't teach the way I teach. They may teach topics, but they don't teach it the way I do. So, like I say, it's what the Most High shows me. He'll drop something in my spirit. He'll show me. He'll put the pieces together in my head, and it all makes sense. I mean, that's how I go. I ain't take no credit for it. It's all Most High. It's all Yahuwah. It's all Yeshua. I give him all the glory, honor, and praise. Well, fam, that's all I got. Love y'all with the love of the Messiah. Peace and blessings, Israel. Your captivity is ending. Well, family, the wait is over. The moment has arrived where truth emerges triumphant from the shadows of history. Introducing the True Jerusalem, the Lost Kingdoms of the Israelites, the groundbreaking work by me, Yaakov Vale, a journey into the past that reshapes the future. I cut through centuries of misconceptions with piercing clarity. This book delivers a compelling case packed with evidence that commands attention and gonna get some respect. Come with me for a second, family, and discover how these thrilling civilizations flourished, protected by towering highlands and sustained by advanced engineering. Some have asked, where is Jerusalem? Is it the land in the Middle East? I say no. It is in the highlands of Ethiopia. With hours of groundbreaking research, this book brings in a new revelation, and it will transform your understanding of African history and its connections to the ancient world. It's going to remove from your mind the conditioning by the Romans of what has really happened to our past. Come with me, family, to the Ethiopian highlands and find out why this is our land, why things have been hidden and obfuscated for centuries. We are royalty, children of the Most High. What kind of land do you expect us to have? Dried up dirt in the Middle East, or land flowing with rivers, a land full of beautiful animals flowing with milk and honey? Don't miss out on this monumental unveiling. Grab your copy today and stand on the side of truth. Visit Amazon.com or www.tailministries.com to purchase your book and join Jacoby Vale's teachings on Tail Ministries. Family, your journey to a hidden history has now begun. So family, get your copy of True Jerusalem, The Lost Kingdoms of the Israelites today. Journey to the heart of Africa, where history and legend converge to reveal the forgotten kingdoms of the Israelites and the true location of Jerusalem.